Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our schedule previews with the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going to be previewing every single Power 4 team as well as a few Group of 5 teams, so please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your favorite team's video as well as our official predictions over the summer. Looking at this schedule for Alabama, they get the majority of games at home with only 5 road games this season. And just overall, there's quite a few difficult games on here. You got road trips to Georgia, Missouri, South Carolina, and Auburn. Honestly, the only home game that really sticks out here, or no, there's a couple actually with LSU and Tennessee, as well as Vanderbilt in a potential revenge game. So really difficult schedule here. It's going to sit about 7.5 out of 10.
Start the season off going to Florida State. Obviously, Florida State is looking to rebound after a abysmal season last year. And they have recruited a couple guys, got some people in the transfer portal. But Alabama, even with the current uncertainties at who will be playing quarterback next season, Alabama should still be the favorite in this game, even on the road. We are giving Alabama about an 85% chance in this game, especially with Ryan Williams returning. It doesn't matter who's going to step in at quarterback. Alabama is going to have an explosive passing game regardless. Following week, UL Monroe. I don't know. Is General Booty coming back? Is he
I
still
don't
on UL
know.
Monroe?
I don't know if he's coming back to UL Monroe, but it's not Nick Saban's first year, so I wouldn't be too worried about this one.
Yeah, not too much to talk about here. Alabama will be the favorite. This 100% chance for Alabama to get a win here. Then a home game against Wisconsin. Last year it was in Wisconsin, and a lot of people were talking about it being a possible trap game. And Jalen Milroe walked all over the Wisconsin defense. Now Wisconsin coming to Tuscaloosa. See what can happen here. Wisconsin's been kind of in a downward spiral past couple seasons. Alabama should be the better team and the favored team at home in this one. So giving them about a 90% chance to get a win here going into their first bye week.
Yeah, after that, starting off SEC play with an absolute, like, just a ridiculous game here, going on the road to play Georgia. Um, this is, I would say, to be a really tough first SEC game for whoever their new starting quarterback ends up being this next season. But even though Florida State might not be a great team, that's going to be a really tough environment. And we do think that's going to help prepare uh, that new quarterback for this Georgia game. So it'll help Alabama out a little bit percentage wise, but they're still going to be underdogs on the road. But 40% chance is pretty respectable. Now, a huge game here against Vanderbilt at home. Who would have thought that at the start of last season would be saying that? Um, but about an 80% chance to win here for Alabama. And that might seem high given what happened last year. But keep in mind, this one's at home. Yes, Diego Pavia is coming back, but I feel like Alabama is going to want revenge. And I think there's a good chance that they get it. Now, going on the road to Missouri is going to be an interesting game, but maybe not as much as it would have been last season. I think we'll see a little bit of a drop off from Missouri this year. So Alabama should be favored in this matchup. Next up, you got Tennessee at home. Nico is back for another year. And overall, pretty solid Tennessee team. This one should still be in the favor of Alabama, given that they have the home field advantage. But don't be shocked if Tennessee comes away with a road victory. And then finally, another huge rematch from last year. This time, Alabama is going to be on the road when they play South Carolina. And the Gamecocks almost got them in Tuscaloosa last year. Really, really interesting game right here. So I do think South Carolina is going to have a really good chance. Lenora Sellers, in my opinion, cost them the game last year. He's going to want to really make up for that. And with the home field advantage, there's about a 50% chance that South Carolina does get a win heading into Alabama's second bye week.
Coming out of that bye week, back at home to face the LSU Tigers. LSU returning Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback, expected to be a Heisman favorite, very experienced, very different compared to what Alabama is currently going through with trying to figure out who their starting quarterback is going to be, which will be key during the spring game. But with it being at home and with Alabama having Ryan Williams returning, obviously, after an incredible freshman season, Alabama will be slight favorites in this one. We're giving them about a 60% chance. I could see it going either way as well, especially with a more experienced quarterback at the helm for LSU. But it will be a very interesting game, especially given how Alabama LSU games have gone in the past couple of years. They usually come down to the wire. A team gets a very late touchdown that seals the game for whoever wins. Following that home game against Oklahoma, another rematch, another big game that Alabama fans and the Alabama football team are going to want to get the revenge against. Obviously, Oklahoma embarrassed Alabama last season, eliminated them from college football playoff discussions despite everyone's best efforts. But with Terrion Arnold leaving, Oklahoma is going to be a significantly worse team than they were last season. And at this point, Alabama should have their quarterback play figured out. So we're giving Alabama about an 85% chance in this game to get a win. Then a non-conference game against Eastern Illinois. Not much needs to be said. 100% chance Alabama gets a win here. And then the big rivalry game against Auburn. This will be interesting. Terrion Arnold coming from Oklahoma to Auburn after getting that win against Alabama last season. Maybe he's looking for round two here in a big rivalry game. But considering this is the last game of the season, all those quarterback questions should be gone. It's going to be very entertaining, obviously, with it being on the road for Alabama. But we're giving Alabama about a 60% chance here. Auburn might be a year out before all their recruits that and their transfer portal players that they've got over the season start to pan out and really start to click. But it should be a very interesting season for Alabama, and this game kind of summarizes what we think Alabama will end up looking like.
Yeah, Auburn hasn't beat Alabama in, I think, 5 years now. So it seems about time that maybe they can pick up a win.
Hmm.
Got the home field advantage this time, so maybe they'll be able to do it. But just looking at the schedule overall, there's going to be a few really tough games on here. I mean, I think Alabama is going to finish around 9 wins. They could maybe even get to 10. But I mean, if you start off the season bad, like if you lose to Georgia and then maybe lose to Vanderbilt again, Tennessee at South Carolina, LSU, that could get bad really fast. So Alabama is going to need to start off strong. Even if they don't beat Georgia, I think that Vanderbilt game is an absolute must win for Alabama if they want to make the college football playoffs. If you start 0-2 in SEC play, I see no hope for Alabama making it.
Especially considering that last season was probably the deepest we've ever seen the SEC. Essentially every single team could be competitive or beat any other SEC team that they played. We saw Kentucky was able to beat Ole Miss and hang in there with Georgia. We saw Georgia beat up on Texas, but Alabama beat Georgia, and then Vandy beat Alabama. Like you never know what's going to happen when it comes to the SEC. But if you start 0-2, like you said, it's going to be very hard for you to come back out of there. That Vandy game, like you said, is going to be the key. I think for the Georgia game, it has to be close. Obviously, whoever's going to be their starting quarterback's going to have 3 games under their belt, but no SEC games, and you have to go and play arguably the most dominant SEC team for the last 5 years. It's going to be very interesting, but if he can, whoever the quarterback is, can play consistently and keep it a somewhat close game, win or lose, I'd have more confidence in Alabama going forward, even though that Vandy game is going to be a huge trap game. But this is a tough schedule for a Bama team that is looking like they're going to be in a different spot than past seasons with Jalen Milroe leaving. Kalen DeBoer's got his work cut out for him this season, so we'll figure out very quickly what kind of team this is in the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, Ty Simpson is the favorite for that quarterback job as a redshirt junior, but by no means is it guaranteed. They're going to have to look through, spring ball, and it'll maybe even go to the fall for that quarterback competition. But yeah, overall, this this could end up going really bad for Alabama if they don't win that Vanderbilt game. So, in my opinion, getting revenge there is the most important thing for Alabama. Otherwise, we could see a terrible season from the Crimson Tide. Now, that being said, we think that Alabama is going to have a pretty solid year. Obviously, they went 9-4 last season, 9-3 in the regular season, and then losing to Michigan in the bowl game. Our projected win total is going to be 8.9 and 3.1. But our official prediction is going to be 9-3. I think they're going to end up splitting all of those difficult games. This should still be a really good Alabama team. Not quite sure if they're going to be able to make the playoffs this year. It's just a really difficult schedule. We'll have to see if Ty Simpson does win that starting quarterback job and he goes on to have a great year. Maybe he can lead Alabama to the playoffs. But for right now, we're going to stick with 9-3 as our way too early prediction, which is over the Vegas line of 8.5. Vegas likes the over as well at about minus 200 odds. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.